Virtual unwrapping was born from a vision that I had where we might be able to explore the interior of something without having to actually physically open it. And so how to do that was really a software problem once you take an image that goes all the way through the middle of something, like an X-ray. And the virtual unwrapping concept came from the software that would allow you to take that scan, that X-ray that goes all the way through, and look at it and unwrap it and unfold it without ever having to do that to the real object. The scroll from Engedi came to us with almost no effort on our part. It was a real miracle because I'd worked so hard to try to get access to various objects that I thought were interesting. And through my own research, I would try to assess what might be interesting and what wasn't. But the scroll from Engedi, I didn't even know it existed. It was written with ink that has some metal in it, and it was also written on animal skin rather than papyrus. So the layers were a little bit more clear to be able to see when we did the scan, and the ink showed up much more readily than other kinds of ink. What we didn't realize at the time was that the papyrus from the ancient world was going to be much more challenging than the animal skin from the Dead Sea Scroll collection, just in terms of the technology. That turned out to be a huge challenge that stalled us for a while, and then we became reinvigorated because of the success of the scroll from Engedi. The scrolls from Herculaneum were not excavated in a way where they were pristine. I wish that were true, but in fact, had they been perfectly preserved, they might not have survived. The irony there is that the volcanic eruption that carbonized them, which is to say made them like charcoal, probably also saved them. It's just that now when they're pulled out from that 50 meters worth of dirt and they've been crushed and they've been carbonized, it's an extremely difficult technical challenge to then figure out how to actually read them. The first thing we tackled was something that was really commonly misunderstood, and that is that it would be impossible using X-ray to see ink that is of the chemistry of the Herculaneum ink. We put the ink from Herculaneum, an approximation, on examples that we could scan and then observe. And what we found is that the conventional wisdom was absolutely wrong. In fact, it was possible to see that carbon ink in the scans, but there were caveats. There were caveats like we needed more precision, we needed to be a little bit more meticulous in how we captured the data so that we would be able to see a very subtle layer of that carbon on the papyrus. And in 2016-17, there were some stunning developments in the AI community that were released and inspired us to give those methods a try at detecting these signals. And it all came together in 2019 when at the particle accelerator, we were able to collect some outstanding data from Herculaneum material. What the Vesuvius Challenge, which is a competitive prize, allowed us to do was to enlist over 1,000 research teams to work on a problem that normally we would only have 5 people working on. And those people working on that problem for 3 months, I estimate they probably spent 10 person years and probably 2 compute years over those 3 months working just on the problem of Herculaneum ink. So it's kind of fascinating to think about that avenue, the competitive science, the prize-based avenue of helping accelerate research. And so far we've been really successful at seeing progress through that challenge. Probably in the 20th century, the biggest revelation of text from the ancient world was the Dead Sea Scroll collection from the 1940s and 50s. I think revealing Herculaneum with the size of that corpus in the 21st century would be the biggest discovery from the ancient world. I think there's a huge emotional component to that is powerful and also can really inspire people to not only learn and apply the science, but understand us a little bit better and understand our history. And so I've become really fascinated and intrigued by what heritage science is going to do in the coming decades. And if I can play a role here at UK in bringing that to students and also bringing that programmatically to what we do, that's what I want to do.